Hey folks, if you're watching an archive version, then you might want to fast forward about 10 minutes, something like that, to the top of the show. And yeah, cool. Okay, old Piers here tonight, having a bit of a chat, so that'll be lovely. And well, hopefully he is. He's just, we're trying to sort out his audio at the moment. But anyway, okay, show starts in about 10 minutes, folks. So if you're watching an archive version, then you might want to fast forward about 10 minutes. Otherwise, just put up with a bit of working through some technical issues here. Piers, mate. Piers?
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's try old Skype then. Give us a shout when you can.
Hold on.
Give us a bell when you can. That's all right. No worries. And we'll work it out. Do. Oh, not that. There you go. Oh, I tell you, telephony, people, telephony. Oh, I wish that didn't have so many problems with telephony. It's so frustrating. I want people to be heard. Yeah, it's supposed to be a chat show. Copyright free Facebook, yeah. Copyright free, you censorious. Yeah. You know what I'm. Yeah. How many people you blocked today, Facebook? Make me want to puke. Hold on. Audio is odd tonight. There we go. Is that better? Oh, something like that. Coming up in 8 minutes, people. Give or take.
Password.
It's all right, Piers. Don't tell us your password on air, mate.
Right. Oh.
Go on, Piers.
It's asking for my Microsoft account.
Oh, blimey. Well, that's on Skype.
That is.
Look, bugger that. I'll tell you what. Give us a shout on Facebook, mate.
Fucking Christ.
Oi!
Sorry.
It's all right. I feel like swearing so much today. Oh! Happy BRINO! Yeah. Go on, Piers. Sorry.
You want me to call you on Facebook?
Well, you're getting echo on Discord, aren't you? Are you still getting echo?
I'm going to come out.
I take it you are. Are you still getting echo?
No, not anymore.
Oh, well, in that case...
No, I am. No, I am.
Okay, all right. Yeah, give us a shout on Facebook. I'll give you a shout. Hold on. I'll try to. Oh yeah. Always getting banned on Facebook. Always BRINO. Yeah, there's always BRINO to rely on. 5.5 minutes from a very jaded Olly Connelly, folks. Feeling a bit frustrated today. Right, let's try old Piers on fascist bot. 5 minutes, people. 5 minutes at the top of the show. Hey, Piers.
Hi, hold on.
Now, hold on a sec. Let me... oh, good. You're not on Discord, so you should have no echo, hopefully.
My microphone's not working now. Hold on. Microphone.
You sound like the British government, mate, making excuses over bloody Brexit. It's all right. It's all right. No worries. No worries. Bless you. Everything's good. Everything's good. We can be truly happy with our lot. We're so lucky. So lucky to have our political betters. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, what would we do if we didn't have these... Go on, Piers. Go on, mate. How you doing?
I just wanted to check to see if there's an echo, but there isn't now. So that's great.
That's great, man. That's terrific. That's good. Okay, good. Well, just give it 4 or 5 minutes, Piers, and...
Okay.
I don't know. Any idea what we're going to talk about?
I'm sure we'll think of something.
I imagine so. Copyright free Facebook. Yeah. Hey, everybody on YouTube.
Just go to spit for 2 seconds.
All right, man. Oh, 3 minutes, people, give or take. Yeah, two minutes, people. I can't listen to that. Oh no, ignore that. No.
Can you hear me munching?
Yeah. Enjoy your dinner.
Nice.
Club.
Nearly there.
Really flying the music. Okay.
very good. Thanks for asking. Oh, hold on. Nearly there. Oh, blimey. I've got the wrong... Oh, dear. Hold on.
Oh, yeah? Thank you. Yeah, man. Did you went to the screening of Pull My Daisy? Yeah, did you enjoy it? Yeah. Yeah, that movie is great. That's the second time I saw it. David Amram talking about it. Really, I love that movie.
Well, no, you weren't inside. You don't know. I know you probably got taken. They were turning people away. And then
Okay.
Right. I suppose we're going to do this, really. Might as well do it. Hey, folks. Good evening, good people. Welcome to the Daily Brexit. Oh, holding democracy to account, fighting for self-determination, exposing plutocracy, and failing miserably. I'm Olly Connelly. Thanks for turning up. Not entirely sure why any of us bother. And now, BRINO, it is. So it is all but confirmed. It might have been confirmed in the last few minutes while I've been sorting out the tech. I don't know. There is no Brexit. There is tyranny. There is unaccountable EU fascism. There are ignored political mandates. There is free man, war criminal Tony Blair. And there is pedo harbouring BBC. But there ain't no democracy. Ain't we lucky? Yeah, I am a bit annoyed. Joining me tonight to pit the question, how do we resign from your tedious plutocratic bullshit, is me old mucker, Piers Garnham. God bless him. Taking your calls on Discord, which you just pop in gov.ly/rant, and you can call it on Skype. The number is below, or it will be in a minute when I change the screen or something, and see you in the comments. Yeah, that's what I want to do with Westminster. Please help the show. PayPal.me/Brexit. Cheers. Thank you. Please share the thing, like the page, all that, whatever you do, I don't know. Aye. Hey, Piers, mate. How are you, sir?
I am very well, thank you very much. How are you?
Yeah, good. I was really looking forward to having another chat with you because, despite all this nonsense going on, you lift our spirits, man. And maybe we could even get you to give us a song. I don't know, but yeah.
Mate, yeah, I can sing to you all.
You're doing choir practice a lot of the time these days, yeah? I understand.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to choir practice yesterday, but my old flatmate Carmen was in England on the limb from Vietnam. They don't do direct flights from Vietnam to Spain, so she has to come via London. So I put her up for the night, and she got up crack of porn this morning and got the flight from Heathrow back to Spain. So I missed choir last night because we were out having a pizza instead. So yeah, all good.
Oh, good for you. Okay, jolly good. But yeah, fine. Okay, right. Well, look, Piers, it's always lovely to have you on, man, and it's always good to have you on. Let's have a quick look and see what is going on in the world of fake stream today, and I guess we can take it from there. Hold on, let's see if I can pull up the media panel so that other people can see what I can see. And yeah, I've had a few issues technically today. Oh, there we go. Okay, we have got something on the screen. I don't think we do for YouTube though. It would be lovely to have a studio producer if anybody got any ideas, it does all take a bit of sorting out some of it. But anyway, here we go. I think hopefully we're there. All right, okay, good. Right, so the papers today were leading with, guess what? Corbyn backs second Brexit vote. Labour come out for new referendum to block May's botched plan or a no deal. Labour backs people's vote, as if we didn't have a people's vote. The Daily Telegraph, Corbyn comes out for second referendum, and so on and so forth. It's just incredible, Piers. No, I mean, as I understand it, outside of London, practically all the Labour constituencies voted leave. It seems to me that this is political suicide from a political establishment which is hell-bent on doing anything, on sacrificing anything to keep us held in this EU club.
Yes, it certainly seems that way, doesn't it? I mean, I honestly, it's such a difficult one to know how what's. I mean, obviously, there's what they say and then what they actually plan and do. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this 15-odd, Remainer rebellion within the Tory firmament wasn't orchestrated by Theresa May herself.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, she's the number one staunch Remainer, and I believe was deliberately put in power by, the secret hand, if you like, who wanted to make sure that the whole Brexit process was thwarted from start to finish. So obviously the threat of no deal is looming and they're running out of options. So maybe she sat down with these ministers and said, look, I need you to create threaten me in order that I can still look as if I'm following, trying to make Brexit happen, but, I don't have a choice. Because I'll lose my majority if you will resign, and so I think it's very duplicitous. It's very standard stuff from our conniving, duplicitous, lying majority if you will resign. And
sorry, that was my fault. Yep. Carry
so
on.
I think sorry, I was kidding. I thought we suddenly got back to the feedback problem.
Oh, yeah, no, it was me. Yeah, you're right. You're completely duplicitous. Now, today, off the back of what Corbyn did yesterday, May has finally put her true colours on the line by the looks of it. I mean, this is something they've been prepping for months, for years, actually. According to Breitbart, I'm amazed this isn't their top story. They're leading on Tommy Robinson getting banned from Facebook and Instagram, which is an important story because it's about censorship and the lack of free speech that we are supposed to enjoy as a free society, in inverted commas. But nonetheless, I would have thought the top story today would be May caves to Remainer threats and paves way to delaying Brexit, stopping clean break. That's their headline. Prime Minister Theresa May has paved the way for Europhile MPs to stop the UK leaving the EU in a clean break, i.e. no deal, i.e. WTO deal, yeah, and to delay the Brexit date. Mrs. May has said that should the House of Commons not back her withdrawal agreement, which, as we know, is not Brexit in any way, shape or form, it puts us in a worse situation than we were in or are in at the moment with our status of the EU. Anyway, she said that should they not back her withdrawal agreement in the second meaningful vote scheduled for March the 12th, she will allow MPs in the Remain-dominated, anti-democratic lower house of Parliament to vote on whether it backs the UK leaving the EU without a deal. An already agreed legal default position if London does not come to a deal with the Brussels by March the 29th. The Prime Minister also said that should the House vote down her bill and later vote against leaving without a deal, Parliament will be asked to vote on a short extension to Article 50, the legal mechanism for leaving the EU. So short, I don't know how she defines that, but we know that she's not very good at defining Brexit.
Well, she's not very good at telling the truth, full stop. I mean, basically whatever she says, assume she's going to do the exact opposite. So short clearly means maybe 2-3 years. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous, the whole thing. I mean, and I'm sure she planned it this way. I'm sure it was planned this way to make it look like she has no choice, but I'm sure she was just as much of an instigator in all this sort of rebellious nonsense as anybody else. But it's interesting. Yes, I presume they are going to vote down her deal again because Brussels won't budge on that. They've made that expressly clear, time immemorial. So this is, it's just May using delay tactics. I mean, I think she might have wanted the option of blackmailing the House of Commons by saying it's my deal or no deal. And of course, they're just as adversely opposed to no deal as they are to her deal. So obviously, that's now changed. I'd imagine that her vote, her deal will be voted down again on, is it the 12th of March? And then they'll vote to extend Article 50. So what then happens? I mean, now Labour are obviously, Corbyn's got behind the idea of a second referendum. I mean, if that is a truly democratic process and they don't rig the hell out of it, which I fully expect them to try and do, if it is a fully democratic process, then my gut instinct tells me that the same result will be achieved again, maybe by an even greater margin. So will they risk allowing that to happen? I think not. And of course,
not unless they can rig it.
Well, this is it. Maybe they've had the time over the last 2 years to come up with a plan to.
Well, they've got everybody on their side too, Piers. The Electoral Commission is very, very pro-Remain.
Right.
And the civil service is very pro-Remain. It seems to me that if they want to rig it, they'll easily rig it.
Yeah, I mean, it does scream. I mean, if we know for a fact that if Theresa May allows a second referendum to take place, if Brexit is delayed and we don't leave on March 29th, then if she does allow a second referendum to happen, then we know that they've rigged it for sure. Because she will not allow one to happen unless they can guarantee the result, which is ultimately remain in the EU. So we know for a fact that there will be all manner of skullduggery taking place should she allow a second referendum to happen. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, obviously they have independent adjudicators monitoring, the voting process and all the rest of it. It's I think quite, I think on a national scale, I think they can probably rig it in certain areas fairly efficiently. And in fact, I'm almost convinced that's what they did the first time round. It's just that so many people voted to leave that even with their tampering,
I agree.
They didn't get enough votes to get the Remain vote through. So I think it's a hell of a gamble. And with the British public as angry about all the lies and duplicity in Parliament, the likelihood is the margin will be even greater this time. So it's a hell of a risk to allow a second referendum to take place. So I think perhaps we have to assume that it won't. And am I right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if these 15 Tory MPs had resigned, then
the cabinet
lost
lot, you mean? The cabinet guys?
Yeah. I mean, would that
Amber Rudd and all that lot?
What would that have ultimately meant? I mean, she would have had to have found replacements. I mean,
she'd have had to have possibly filled the cabinet with some Brexiteers. Whoa, what a good idea! Way!
Of course, you can't allow that to hapen. So
it's just incredible. There aren't any more Brexiteers left to resign because they all resigned after Chequers. It's just absolutely beggars belief. Okay, we got Rees-Mogg talking about it a bit as well. Rees-Mogg warns, this is Express, Rees-Mogg warns Leave voters of Theresa May plot to stop Brexit. Most grievous error. Jacob Rees-Mogg launched a scathing attack on MPs plotting to stop Brexit after the Prime Minister offered parliamentarians crucial votes if her deal is rejected in March. The Conservative MP, North East Somerset, Jacob, well, let's have a listen. This is what he said.
There is obviously the possibility that Brexit will be delayed, but if Brexit were to be delayed to change the backstop to the Malthouse Compromise, that would be positive, and to allow time for legislation to get through, that again would be perfectly acceptable. If it's being delayed, which is my suspicion, as a plot to stop Brexit altogether, then I think that would be the most grievous error that politicians could commit, it would be overthrowing a referendum result, 2 general elections, one to call for the referendum, one to endorse the referendum, and would undermine our democracy.
You don't say. Yes, but these guys are not hard. Like they're being this ERG, whatever they are. They're being labelled as being hard right, fanatics, extremists,
Many
and all
years
that
ago,
sort of stuff.
these people
Oh my
should have been
God, it's
strung out
Subri!
of
Shut up, woman. The reality is that they're not anything like hardline enough. They sound like Remainers. Rees-Mogg to me sounds like a Remainer now.
Yeah, he's being very careful to sort of maintain that sort of stiff upper lip kind of approach to. I mean, yeah, personally, I mean, the amount of rage this whole situation has generated within me is just quite extraordinary. I mean, when I hear the Prime Minister talk, just the sort of that monotone drone and the endless lies that come out of that woman's mouth, it's enough to drive you to distraction. I mean, you start fantasizing about, what might happen to her. And none of it's particularly good.
That was an accident. That was the wrong piece of audio. Go on, Piers. Sorry.
But no, I mean, I just can't see how it's going to play out. I mean, if they do delay it, which seems to be what will happen, because I mean, if a huge majority voted May's deal down last time, I don't think any meaningful changes to her deal will occur before the second vote. In which case, it'll get voted down for a second time, and then they'll vote to extend Article 50 because they won't want to see a no deal occur, because they're all bought and paid for by the bloated corporate lobbyists from the EU. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's such a protection racket. The EU. They've got this ring fence around themselves, and they've scratched each other on the back. And we'll do trade with you. We'll do trade with you, and we'll cut everybody else out of the loop, or heavily control who can do business with who, and wrap it all up so we're all getting fabulously rich and bugger everybody else. That's not true. That's not true capitalist, competitive market spirit. They are petrified if we leave, because we could ultimately do very well. And this mass media deluge of no deal, cataclysmic kind of talk is just absolute nonsense. I mean, to be fair, if we were to leave on no deal in a hypothetical scenario, then the likelihood is most of the business arrangements that are already in place would probably stay as is. Very little change. Nobody wants to do away with the great swathes of business. The only difference would be we'd be running our own show. We wouldn't be taking orders from Brussels any longer, and we'd be controlling our own borders. So actually very little has to change if everybody behaves like a grown-up, but clearly that's not going to happen. So
not.
They're going to do it. Sorry.
No, you're right. I'm just agreeing with you. You're spot on as usual, Piers. Westminster, their take on this. Let's read this as well. I think we've got to be clear about what's happened today. May MPs will be able to block no deal and extend Article 50. Theresa May has today announced that if MPs reject her deal, they will get the chance to block a no-deal Brexit and then vote for an extension of Article 50. It is the latest disgraceful development, according to Westminster, as Remainer MPs do their best to delay and stop Brexit completely. MPs will vote on May's deal by they say, the 12th of March. I think it is supposed to be on. If they reject that, a vote on no deal follows, and if that is rejected, MPs then vote on whether to vote to delay Brexit. As Piers was just explaining, the PM said that no deal would now require the explicit consent for that outcome. What happened to the UK leaving on the 29th of March? And no deal better than a bad deal, asks.
Did you see that?
Westminster.
Sorry.
Go on, Piers.
Beg your pardon. Did you see that thing they did on the Leave page? They did that sort of, they cut and spliced all the times that May has said we will be leaving on the 29th of March. We'll be leaving the European Union on the 29th of March. And she's said it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times.
In the House of Commons, I know that she said it at least 75, 80 times. That was about a month ago. I think the statistic was about 75 times she'd said it in the Commons alone. She's just an absolute liar. This is our leader. just
everything,
lying
literally,
brazenly to us. It makes it. I tell you, I feel utterly let down by this sham that reckons that they are our political betters. They're scum. They're lying charlatans is what they are. Then they are the lowest of the low. There is nothing worse than a political liar. Nothing. They make rapists look good because their policy makes for a lot more crime than does an isolated case. These people are the worst of the worst of the worst.
But if we could, if you like, have a bit of a discussion tonight about why this is all happening and why I personally think democracy has been a bit of an illusion for decades. I mean, we've discussed this in the past.
Yeah, let's do that.
But
because it's.
I mean, I think we need to try and put this all into sort of a sense of context because I think now people are beginning to realise that democracy is a bit of an illusion. If you vote against the establishment or the controlled mandate, then obviously they do everything in their power, as is being witnessed right now, to stop the will of the people from happening. So it does seem, as we have discussed before.
Well, hold on, Piers, hold that thought right there, because yes, I do want to go down some rabbit holes. And I know you always do, but first of all, let's take a few comments because people are miffed. Amanda Rolfson says, someone mentioned a strike. It is time that everyone who voted leave did, tools down, and do one hell of a march through London and bring it to a standstill. Yep, I'm with you, Amanda. Thomas White, all people need to do now is all out strike until we do leave. Yeah, I agree. A general strike. James Miller says, read my comment above. Oh, blimey, James. I tell you, you don't know how difficult it is to organise these tabs as it is. Helen Grigg, why should we back down? We won. Let them leave. Let them leave the country. Think themselves lucky we can still demand their arrest, malfeasance, fraud, etc., etc. Jamie Mitchell, yeah, I'm sorry. Keep it calm. Jamie Mitchell, yeah, never before has there been a crunch head-to-head versus state. Not for a long time anyway. The feeling is raw out there. Piers, how raw do you... I know that you're based in London. You've got folks in the home counties. And so maybe you're not the best straw poll. But how... What do you think? I mean, I think, to be honest, most of the folks that like me, are quite frankly, to be polite, remorons. But
well, yeah. I mean, I have thankfully been able to retain and maintain, mature and sensible friendships with people who are diametrically opposed to my fundamental beliefs from a political standpoint. It's quite extraordinary, how different, how poles apart we are in terms of our overriding philosophy. But my underlying reasons for me feeling, believing what I believe are significantly different from most. So this,
okay, hold that. A few more comments, and then we'll get into that because when we get into that, we'll never leave. Kevin Gibson, we as like Hotel California, we as leavers have no voice in the mainstream media. It's so biased in favor of Remain. And we saw that, didn't we, just today with Tommy Robinson's documentary. I don't know if you saw that, which he did on John Sweeney, the head honcho at Panorama, and he did an expose on the guy, basically proving how they set up news, which isn't news at all, of course. It's fake. And he showed it. Tommy Robinson absolutely showed it. It was incredible. Absolutely fantastic piece of work, in my opinion. Whatever else you think about Tommy Robinson, I posted on the Heart of British Politics, and everyone's like, oh, why would you want to, put something up from Tommy Robinson sort of thing? Look, you know what? People can have one view you may agree with or disagree with. It doesn't mean that they're right or wrong about everything else. Let's just have a little bit of tolerance here. Anyway, whether you like it or not, the fact is that he did expose Panorama. He did expose BBC News. He did expose John Sweeney. And well done, Tommy. And what's the end result of that? His videos all over Facebook today have been pulled down, including off where I shared them on my profile and on Daily Brexit page. Tommy's page was pulled down. His profile was pulled down. That of one or two of his companions. And Richard Inman, who's been on the show a couple of times, had his profile pulled down as well, apparently. And a lot of other people, as I understand it, as well. My point being, just talking about that so biased in favor of Remain from the mainstream media, says Kevin Gibson. We have seen it today on Facebook. It's not just mainstream media anymore. It is absolutely the social networks as well. Quite frankly, I'm amazed that this show has survived. But then again, it's because nobody watches it. So share it, please. Share it. And maybe I'll get a chance to get banned. I don't know. Helena Mary Reynolds, how many times did she say, "Let me be clear, we are leaving on March the 29th"? Yes, Helena. Yes. James Miller, they can put another amendment through. Yeah. And okay. I need to calm down. Piers, I know that I can just leave you going for the next 10 minutes. I can go off and get out in the pub or whatever.
No.
Tell me, God bless you, mate. Tell me why are we in this situation, really?
Okay, right. Well, are we all sitting comfortably?
Ooh,
well, then I'll begin. It seems that post Second World War, there were meetings that took place. We've discussed them ad nauseum before. You know, the inception of the Bilderberg Group in 1954, which was we did discuss it with Gawain Towler the other day, who was the UKIP, press secretary for 14 years, and he sort of played down the significance of Bilderberg and its overriding authority or power. But I personally think it does have more power than perhaps he personally believes. I mean, they've met every year subsequently the most powerful people in the world, including all the heads of all the corporates and the banks and royalty, and our the senior politicians get summons to these meetings and sort of told whatever they're told, because we never find out what actually gets discussed. But the fact is, these meetings have taken place every year, and it's an off-the-record chat between the most powerful people in the world of business. And so I think they did some modelling. They realised post-war that things were going to have to radically change. They modelled they did predictions about the growth, the population explosion and expansion of humanity and the detrimental effect that we'd have on the natural world. I do believe they've also had access to various forms of technology, which I won't go too much into depth about now, but I do believe that they felt it was inappropriate or dangerous to give these forms of technology the general public access to. So they've drip fed some of it to us, namely things like fiber optics and LED lights and and the smart, the kind of microchip circuitry and all the rest of it that have enabled things like smartphones and what have you. So they have drip fed certain aspects of the technology that's been at their disposal for a very long time, but the majority of it, which could ultimately transform this world for the better, they've kept to themselves because they know that if they put it in our hands, then their power and control over us will ultimately be taken away. So they've come up with a contingency plan. They've kept the system as is, this sort of oil-based economy where we fight over, fossil fuels and resources. And they put in, they realized that come this period in history, the world's population would have exploded and would probably, no doubt, be having a seriously detrimental effect on the natural world. Well, is that not what we're witnessing to this very day? So they put in motion a plan to to come up with a way to control this ever-expanding population. So they wanted to centralize power. So they thought they'd create two main population zones, namely Canada, North America, and Mexico as one area, and then the greater European Union as another. And then they would, in order to sort of speed up the process of centralizing power, they would, go to war with the countries that surrounded these two territories, the Middle East, so they create a tidal wave of migration, people looking, moving out of these war zones, looking for safe havens, and allow them access to these two states to deliberately start to dilute national identity.
You're basically saying that the war was a way to drum up chaos and migratory chaos.
I personally think the same people who run this modern philosophy of globalization are the same people that were basically behind the Nazis. The Nazis.
We know that's the case with the origins of the EU.
Yes, the Nazis lost. They tried it by force and failed. So they hatched a new plan. They came up with an idea of finance, duplicity, and subterfuge. We'll paint this beautiful picture of this idealistic, open environment where people can travel between and work and live in each other's countries, and everybody have this giant love fest where everybody will be happy and nobody will be fighting with each other, and we'll create this amazing philosophy, this incredible modern ideology that everybody will buy into. And in fact, we'll invest vast amounts of money into making regional areas of Europe and the UK forgotten about, by their own governments, far better off than they are today. They were before, so they all get on board and everybody's behind it and thinks, yes, the EU is fantastic. And look at what they've done for us. They've invested so much in our local infrastructure and business, so they've created something.
But they haven't invested a penny. They've taken money from other people. They've robbed Peter to pay Paul.
Well, yes, that is entirely true. So it has all been a superficial, largely superficial attempt to garner favour and win support. When in actual fact, what it really is, is this same philosophy that we fought, in 2 world wars, that has basically come back. And is just rearing itself in a completely fundamentally different way. They tried to do it by force in 2 world wars and failed. So they knew that recipe wasn't going to work. So they had to come up with something new. So they knew that they had to get something on board that people would buy into, that they believe in, and they've done that very successfully up until now. Now people have pulled their heads out of the sand and they've realized that they've been duped, and that this globalist philosophy to homogenize Europe and America into these, America is already a federal superstate, but they can add Canada and Mexico to the recipe if they want. I don't know about the wall and all this. I think that's more of a smokescreen, to create sort of, chaos in the States while they're doing all kinds of interesting things behind the scene. But I think Europe is, they want to see Europe as a homogenized federal superstate where national identity is completely dissolved, and we're all beating off the same, beating to the same drum.
Why would they want to do this, Piers? Why would they want to do this?
Well, that's a very good question, and a question I don't ultimately have full answer to. It seems to be that they see us heading off a cliff.
What sort of cliff? Population
if we
cliff?
Carry on, ultimately their main motivation is to retain control over us, and their position of power and authority. Power is power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So this is the driving force that ultimately motivates people in the establishment.
Yeah, psychos.
They know that they won't give us the technologies.
Fuel for psychopaths. Power, no?
Yes, they are. They're all a bunch of. They have no empathy, no conscience, or if they do, they've used a form of cold-hearted, removed logic to justify their actions. I mean, I think they personally believe that they're saving humanity, when in actual fact, what they're doing is, they believe they have to massively reduce the human population, for example.
How arrogant to tell me what to think! Sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
well,
I'm really trying to be calm. I'm shaking. I'm so annoyed. I am actually trembling with anger.
I know.
Sorry, Piers, man. Carry on. God bless you. Thank you.
No, I know. I mean, this is what people are going to have to try and get into their heads. And I think this year may end up. I mean, I know that we've said this in some previous years that have gone by. This is the year. This is the year. It's all going to happen, and the truth is finally exposed. And of course, nothing of any great magnitude or significance has happened. But look around you. Look how many seniority in the Catholic Church are being arrested for paedophilia, or in business. Seniority in powerful positions, people running, sports clubs and media companies, all being done for child sex abuse, and politicians, the way the governments have gone out of their way to cover up, reams of sexual abuse. I mean, do you not think that, Stanley Kubrick was actually trying to tell us something with Eyes Wide Shut? I personally do. I think, I think what we were actually shown in Eyes Wide Shut was a small window into the makeup of the establishment and society, and how, there is this sort of slightly occult, ritualistic kind of quality to the, some of the sexual activity and abuse that they carry out. It's bloody weird.
They are a bunch of weirdos, aren't they? They are a bunch of weirdos. Look at that Savile hanging around with Charlie. I mean, this is our future king, for crying out loud. Where are the questions? Where are the questions? This is our future king, who hang out with a prolific pedo, the most prolific pedo in the country, and nobody asks a question. Nobody asks a question in the mainstream media. It's absolutely, it's beyond, absolutely beggars belief.
Yeah, I mean, Cardinal Pell, the third most powerful, Catholic, cardinal, has now been done for child rape. This permeates its way through the whole system. You cannot attain high office, whether it be in the police, in the army, in the judiciary, on the telly. You cannot attain a position of real power and influence, whether that's extreme fame with a massive following on Twitter or whatever it might be. You cannot achieve that unless you're compromised in some kind of way. They will not allow you to rise to the very top, the creme de la creme, unless they have some form of compromise, unless you're compromised in some kind of way. Because they cannot allow, individual freedom of thought. They've always massively suppressed that. And, we only have to look at, the vast majority of media, which is all controlled by the establishment. All the corporations that own these media outlets are establishment run. And so we are bombarded literally day in, day out. I mean, we're so conditioned to think a certain way that, even when we recognize something in a paper as an untruth, we'll go back and read the same paper the next day and believe what we're reading. We're so conditioned. It's just not true. I mean, if the truth comes out, the foundation and bedrock of our entire mental landscape will come crumbling down, and we're going to have to rebuild from the start. We've built our whole mental framework of understanding about reality on lies. They have literally been lying to us our entire lives, or at least I've been alive and you've been alive the best part of half a century now.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
right.
Both coming up to our half century.
Yeah.
But I'm really seriously beginning to think. I mean, I was born in '69. The inception of Bilderberg was in '54. So
they'll be telling us we're too old to vote soon, Piers, mate. They'll be telling us we're too old to vote. Go on, carry on.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's becoming more like Logan's Run every day. It's kind of like,
Blimey.
or very.
You've got to be a bit of an old git to know that reference, haven't you?
I mean, having yes, despite what you might think of Tommy Robertson, I mean, he should be able to express what he. I mean, it's not just outright hate. Not everything he says is just pure outright hate.
I think it's worried. The guy's worried, no?
I mean, it's basically a form of mostly what he does is a form of sort of journalism, really. It's a sort of
It is journalism.
You know,
it is journalism. What he did with John Sweeney was investigative journalism, and it was very, very good. And he basically stitched the guy up. But it was classic because the guy was going to stitch him up, and he turned the tables. It was very, very clever indeed. But yes,
no, but I mean the fact that we all pay our. I mean, I'm amazed that we still, you know, are all forced to pay a license fee. You know, I know a lot of people don't now, quite rightly, really. But I mean,
not enough.
The
Way
BBC
too many
can take hundreds of pounds off us a year just to pump out their unbridled propaganda. I mean, if people can't recognise that the BBC is literally like a wing of MI5 in terms of brainwashing, then
that's right.
You know, then you know, I give up.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a few more comments, and then we'll carry on down this rabbit hole, which I think a lot of people around here appreciate. Stavros says Peter Hitchens calls all politicians and media moguls university graduated Bolsheviks, and he is right. And yeah, I think you're right. Stav. Daz, I think that Peter Hitchens is right. Daz Butterfield saying hi to old Dave Witcher. Hey, Witchy Woo. Hello, mate. Nothing is true anymore, says Nick Scofie. That's right, very 1984. Thomas White, Sonia are farmers get a small fee not to grow crops. That's why they have so many car boot sales on farmers' lands. Kazimak says the groomers groom for our white elite. Tracy, that's just someone saying hi to Tracy Shaw. God bless you, Tracy. Dave Jenkins. They've even twisted history to suit their narrative. Absolutely, they have. Lynn Scott, we will be too old to have oxygen at 50. God knows where that's going. Yeah. Mark Painter, I have major worries for my kids' future. Thomas White, Ollie, you need a pee. Looks like it. You moving about. Thomas, you're absolutely right. I do need a pee. You're absolutely right. You know me too well. Jamie Mitchell, maybe we're in this mess because of the last Bilderberg meetings. The decision was already made there, maybe for no Brexit. Piers, yeah, you're right. Gwaine Towler, who sounds like a lovely chap, a lovely conversation with him. And it was very, very interesting what he said about Farage and the Brexit Party. And the ramifications for UKIP with the Brexit Party. It was all very fascinating indeed. But I have to say, I would tend to agree with you that he downplayed the significance of Bilderberg. And we do know that Amber Rudd went to Bilderberg this last year, the last meeting, along with Mark Carney and George Osborne. And Amber Rudd was somebody, wasn't she sacked for, I don't know, basically doing something disgraceful, and then she brought back into the cabinet a moron in chief. I mean, you couldn't be any more moronic than Amber Rudd, apart from, unless you were Theresa May, so far as the government's concerned, so far as the Conservative Party is concerned, rather. Oh no, unless you were Ken Clark. Oh, okay, Anna Soubry. Oh, she quit now. Thank you. She is an absolute. We really, really need accountability from these politicians. We're not going to get it. I don't know why I'm saying this. We know all this. Carry on. Why has this situation led to where we are with Brexit? Why? What is the EU significance in this sorry story, Piers?
Okay, I mean, yes, why? It is to do with the direction of humanity. We are destroying this planet. For whatever reason, we seem to be completely out of sync with the natural order of things. You know, we don't sort of fit naturally into any, kind of natural environment. You know, we rise above it. We use our intelligence, but we don't. We're greedy, and we take, and we don't.
Hold on, in fairness, though, yes, I agree with you basically, but. On the other hand, we don't really have any leadership to say, you know what, there are certain things that are just really stupid. Like, for example, one of the ways that we're ruining the planet is, of course, with plastics. And yet we still buy our goodness knows what at the supermarket, and we've got plastic mixed in with paper and possibly metal in the same packaging. I mean, they don't even do the most basic things. They're only just beginning only just beginning to think, to talk about how to use hemp, an incredible, a miracle product, for crying out loud, that grows out of the ground like a weed. 6 weeks and you've got yourself a plant. You can have a smoke on the side if you like as well. Hey, there's a bonus. And you've got yourself something for insulation, for Henry Ford built cars out of this stuff, for crying out loud. Our leaders seem very, very happy to destroy the planet, not to do things that would help all of us, or to suggest things that would help all of us. They seem to go along just with big, big business, as opposed to, for example, a big body such as the UN could say, enough is enough. Clearly, we need to, for crying out loud, at least sort out packaging. If you can't sort that out, you're not going to be much good at sorting out anything else.
Okay, I'm going to say it. I kind of wasn't going to, but this is what people are going to have to try and struggle to get their heads around. And when I say this from a position of a very well-researched individual. Now, I haven't got time in this short, we're doing this for what, about an hour or so.
Well,
I haven't got time to just, to tell you the research I've done to justify what I'm about to say. Mm-hmm. But if you've listened to what I've had to say tonight and thought that anything I've had to say has any merit whatsoever, then please listen to what I'm about to say and believe it, because many people of serious merit in positions of great import believe this too, including people like Paul Hellyer, who was the Minister of Defence for Canada in the late 60s, early 70s. I mean, Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man on the moon. I could ream off a list of very powerful, very influential, important people who believe what I'm about to say is true. Mm-hmm. Basically, we are not alone, and that the 47 crash at Roswell was real, and that our governments have ultimately have met and interacted with people that are not native of this planet, and they have kept that from us. They have barraged us with Hollywood films and programs, so they've kept us in the loop, but painted it as fiction. So we immediately disregard it and always assume that what we're being shown is just fantasy. But in actual fact, I mean, you have a Harvard scientist now coming forward saying that I can never pronounce it. That rock.
No.
Uruma, whatever it's called. Yeah, that cylindrical rock that came into our solar system, he firmly believes that is an alien craft, from the ancient past.
When
and has sort of mathematically proven it.
Which rock was that? Sorry.
Sorry.
Which rock was that?
Well, that was that Ruma. I can't remember what the hell it.
Okay,
let me bring it up on the net. Ruma, whatever it's called. I can't remember.
When was that? When was it?
Senior astronomer and mathematician at Harvard University has gone on the record and said that he believes it's a ship. Now, what I'm trying to say is, people. I know that everybody thinks aliens and UFOs is a big fat joke, but we've been conditioned to believe that all our lives. Anybody says, "Oh, I believe in aliens." Oh, you're a tinfoil hat wearing moron.
Why should people think that? Because if we go off to the moon and look back at Earth, then that lot on Earth are all aliens, aren't they? I mean, what's the difference?
Well, the fact is, I do firmly believe that our governments have been interacting with not only one race but several races of off-worlder. They've shared technology. That technology has been suppressed from the general populace. It's almost given these people the ability to create a breakaway society. And the current financial system, where they've been able to siphon off trillions of dollars and print money out of thin air and create this fiat nonsense, these massive piles of debt. And you've got people like Rumsfeld standing up here, in a congressional hearing day before 9/11 and saying, "Oh, we've lost $2.3 trillion in the Pentagon budget."
That's right.
The
day before 9/11, and the day before, the accounts department in the Pentagon was smashed with a missile, a cruise, whatever they chucked into it.
Yes, well, it wasn't a plane, yeah. And so we have been thoroughly lied to about some seriously fundamental stuff, and they've NASA essentially has just been a sort of public relations exercise to keep the masses entertained and fascinated in space. But actually, what they've really been doing, is using reverse engineered technology given to them by people from elsewhere, and they've been going out there. They're far more advanced technologically, than we've ever been led to believe.
Okay, all right.
Well, and we've also got to address the fact that the ancient past we've been thoroughly lied to about the ancient past as well. And the fact that the origins of man and the external influences,
which
that
would
we've been
account for the missing link, Piers, would it not? It has to be said.
Well,
and we are so different to the rest of the animal kingdom. I have to say, it doesn't make any sense to me. It does. We do not have a natural place in this animal kingdom. We are so far above it. It doesn't make any sense that one species can just eradicate everything else, and that's fine. Nature doesn't work that way. I'm just saying. I'm playing devil's advocate. I ain't got a clue, people. But I do think that this is very, very interesting, this theory. But what you say does make sense.
It does play into this whole Brexit philosophy because, if they have created a breakaway society, let's just hypothetically assume that we have bases on the moon, bases on Mars, some of the other bodies in our solar system and beyond. Let's assume that's true. Maybe they've taken advantage of ruins they've found there from the ancient past that they've sort of retrofitted out, and they use them as away stations, and they've found ways of traveling great distances in short spaces of time. Let's assume that's true. Would that not make the vast majority of people on this Earth at this current juncture superfluous to requirements? I mean, various comments have been made, like that we're nothing but useless eaters. I mean, in many respects, we have become superfluous to requirements because if there's any truth to this suggestion that there is a secret space program, and I personally believe that Trump creating Space Force is a sort of prelude to first stage disclosure about the fact that we have been lied to about the ancient past. There are significant ruins dotted around the Earth, specifically and largely on Antarctica, which are under the ice, which prove that there have been advanced civilizations on this planet way back into antiquity, long before anything that we've been, is established recognized.
Well, how did they build the pyramids? I mean, come on, they didn't put up a construction.
They weren't built by us. They were built by people from elsewhere. It's logical to assume that most gods, most religious gods, whether they be from all the major faiths, were probably people from elsewhere with just higher levels of technology, and the way we had a means to sort of identify with it was to sort of deify them or recognize them as gods because we didn't understand their technology. They were far too sophisticated and advanced for us, but they could fly and levitate, or they had means of levitating, creating an anti-gravitic field around rocks and boulders or stones, carving them neatly and then moving them around. I mean, this idea that 6 million odd slaves in Egypt built the pyramids is probably bogus, and the time frame for the pyramids being built is probably completely bogus as well. I mean, Zawi Hawass, who was the sort of chief Egyptologist, based out of Cairo, is basically just a sort of public figure put there to prolificate lies, and paint them as truths in order to misdirect. There's probably tons of pyramids under the sand around there and infrastructure that they haven't let us know about, but they have advanced enough ground penetrating radar to know for a fact that what we've actually seen in Giza is just the tip of the bloody iceberg, and it's the same in Antarctica. I mean, there are all kinds of purportedly all kinds of ruins. I mean, they've had all sorts of
the Nazca lines is another one, isn't it? These enormous, great big images of animals and things like that.
I mean, we could go on.
You can't see them from Earth because they're too big. You have to get up into a spaceship to be able to see them miles above the Earth.
Look at the stones in Pumapunka in Peru. I mean, those are carved like by a laser or something out of basalt, which is one of the hardest rocks on the planet.
That's right.
How
Incredible
these ancients
masonry
could have ever created anything like that is there's so many anomalous ruins
we
all
don't
over
have
the planet.
tools for that precision now. I've heard that guy on Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know. May or may not be correct. Let's just take a few more comments. And Lisa Hughes says, look into the Nephilim and the giants. Many of the skeletons have been found. Lisa's correct.
It's true. She's right. The Smithsonian and many other, archaeological institutions and museums have destroyed a lot of evidence. There have been all kinds of elongated skulls found in Paracas, in all sorts of other parts of the world. Look up Paracas skulls in Google. Elongated skulls with cranial capacities 20% in excess of the average human, with occipital plates that don't match our own. One of the reasons why the Egyptian pharaohs wore elongated headwear was largely because they had elongated skulls, namely they weren't human. One of the reasons why cardinals and the Pope wear, those elongated hats is in reverence and homage to these ancient people. It's not the shape of a fish from the story of the Bible, as they allude to. So we've been painted a very inaccurate and a reflection of reality. And I think the secret, the mystery schools, Leonardo da Vinci was obviously highly adversed with the Fibonacci and the Vitruvian Man and the sacred geometry and all that kind of stuff. These are the secret teachings of the secret schools, the sort of the depths of masonry when you reach the higher levels. Obviously the lower orders are just about making connections and usurping others in business. But when you reach the more esoteric, higher echelons of masonry and secret orders, then you start to get into some very esoteric and weird occult stuff. And this is these secret mystery schools, and this is what the powers that be know about. The ability to be able to manipulate your reality. Magic. When you say magic is real, people laugh in your face, but actually it is real, in the sense that if you have the technological know-how or know how to manipulate reality, you can garner influence by. I'm not going to go into it now. It's just getting too wacky, and I don't want to put people off. But this all ties into Brexit. This all ties into. You've
already put people off, Piers. It's only you and me here, and your mum, your mum too. That's it. Everybody else is gone. No, they haven't gone. They haven't gone. Gail Marie Gandhi says, "Nano." Jamie Mitchell. So why did we not speed up until? So why did we not speed up until Roswell? Lee Hollands, I think it was in a cave in remote Afghanistan. Frank McKelthron is talking about Blue Beam, Project Blue Beam. PCBs were first envisioned in the 1920s. Remind me when Roswell was in the 50s, wasn't it, Roswell?
No, it was in the 47.
47. Thank you. Matt Woodhouse says circuit boards were a logical step. Rather than have a large, expensive components that were chained together with wires, miniaturization is and has been an attempt for speed, efficiency in electronic equipment. Circuit boards evolved. They weren't created out of divine inspiration. It was money. Okay, look, Piers, we've only got a few minutes left. Give me some hope.
I know I've sort of taken it down a very
You haven't. You have a very valid point.
I do genuinely believe that these
the
are some
Foreign
of the
Secretary of Canada, what was it? Paul Harper said.
No, Paul Hellyer
told us about this stuff. If you're nuts, you've got great company with some interesting characters, that's for sure. Paul Hellyer and David Icke. Well done. So, mate, no, seriously, David Icke, I think everything he says seems to be coming true, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Piers. But if this is the case, we're basically we haven't got a leg to stand on here.
No, we have, because there is a group of people, resistance that has grown against this deep state that has been ultimately controlling the planet and running the globalist agenda, and are largely behind the EU. There is, a growing resistance that has ultimately has grown in strength enough to start worrying the deep state to the point where a lot of the politicking we see in America and in Europe is due to the fact that we've got a lot of very evil people on the run now. I think Trump was deliberately put in power as a smokescreen. He's like this perverse puppet character that just says and does all kinds of crazy stuff to keep everybody kind of entertained. Oh, my wall, Kim Jong-un, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. Get him tweeting, get him saying whatever to distract everybody, when actually the alliance that are fighting deep state are going to great lengths to reach a sort of culminatory point where they can literally kind of launch mass arrests, and I think some of those arrests have started now. I mean, one of the reasons why Trump wanted to clear out Guantanamo Bay of 800 foreign national terrorists was because he wants to make room for a lot more domestically grown terrorists. I think there are something like 70,000+ sealed indictments waiting to be acted upon on the public record in the States now. I mean, it's a fundamental task. It takes an enormous amount of coordination, something they can't do overnight, and a lot of the people they want to arrest, they have, the evidence to put them away for life, but these people are very, very powerful and have bribed and paid off an enormous number of people. And plus, there's also the problem with the whole infrastructure collapsing. If you arrest the top echelons of government, then the whole thing has the potential to sort of come crashing down, and you don't have anybody doing anything. So you create a sort of vast vacuum. So they have to be very coordinated, careful about the way they go about it. And it takes years, years. But I do believe we are reaching a juncture in time in history where this stuff is going to start to happen, and it's going to start hitting the mainstream. And the more noise you see in the mainstream media, that you sense isn't real, is because these people are becoming increasingly fearful that they're going to get exposed for what they really are. And it does seem that the whole of Hollywood, the whole of anything, any industry or people with positions of influence to sway the opinions of vast numbers of people are compromised. They are all compromised, and so this is the world we live in. I do believe aliens are real. I do believe our governments have interacted with them, and I do believe there's a breakaway society that's behind the scenes that has led to the majority of humanity on the surface becoming superfluous to requirements. So they're herding us into these two centralized zones, centralizing power, and then ultimately wanted to knock most of us off with 5G or some virus or something. I don't know.
They're lovely, aren't they? They're a lovely lot. They're a lovely lot. Talking of 5G, Mark Steele's on tomorrow talking about 5G. Go on, Piers. They're going to fail.
They're going to fail.
Listen, hidden tech. Do you think they have a cure for a weak bladder? Oh, blimey. I'll tell you what. Yeah. I want to say a big cheers to Piers Garnham. God bless you, Piers, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Are you around... let us know when you haven't got choir practice and get on again soon, because this is a lot more interesting than Brexit. I'll tell you, I'm so fed up of Brexit because it feels like you're hitting your head against a brick wall. And also I feel that I'm deceiving people by even doing a show like this, because there is no Brexit. There is no Brexit, people. Daily Brexit, bugger daily bloody Brexit, there's no Brexit. And I tell you, it really aggrieves me to say that. I want not to do this show. I want this show to be blown out of the water. Don't want to do this show. Just want freedom. Self-determination. Sovereignty. Is it so difficult? Isn't that what they fought for? Isn't that what they died for? Thomas, wait, when are you back on, Ollie, so I can get my Discord sorted out for your next show? Tomorrow at 7, Thomas. God bless you, mate. Yes, please do. This has been the Daily Brexit. I'm Olly Connelly. I'll see you tomorrow at 7. Here's to us and bugger plutocracy. Beat me up, Scotty. You might as well. It's got to be better up there. I don't know. Check it out. I tell you, you've got to have a sense of humour. You've got to have a sense of humour, people. It's laugh or cry. Yeah. You're off to the pub, Piers. Are you going to have some dinner or what? Oh, he's gone. I don't blame him. Oh, Helen says, don't leave us, Ollie. We love your show. Helen, I love you too. If I don't do this, I would do Daily Chaos, which would be great. And it would be so less frustrating because at least there is chaos. At least it's real. At least it's true. Oh, okay. God bless you, folks. See you tomorrow. Have a good night. Have a beer o'clock. Definitely beer o'clock.